and welcome to my channel. So today I'm gonna show you my bullet journal since I started using it, the way that I have been using it and the things that don't work for me, so you guys can also see that it's not necessary to have a perfect setup right from the start. I am also taking you with me to plan for the month of December, so you will be seeing what I am doing in preparation of the new month and what I added in my previous month, etc. So for the people still around here, let's get started. So first things first, let's flip through my bullet journal. This is my personal information and some confetti from when I hit 1000 subscribers, and then we go to the actual first pages. I have a half-yearly planning setup which I don't really use as much as I should. I'm gonna do a new one for the new year and that's gonna be a lot better. I also have some goals and then my social media tracker on here and some important dates for the next year. Then we go to my actual first spread. This is the month of July and I had no clue what I was doing. I have a monthly overview which I like, but also some things that I didn't like the centimeters and the weight tracking that just I never completed them. Then on the next pages I have video ideas and YouTube setup. This is something that I really enjoy and that I actually worked on to develop it more because it was so amazing and so much better for me. Then we're gonna go to a page that has my Instagram feed on it. This is before I started using the app which actually helped with this thing, and I also have a income and expenses page which I blanked out, but it is something that I really kept up to and which really made my life easier. I also tried to do a weekly to-do list, so I split up the page in 2 weeks, but I never really used this. And I also had a page with the things that I wanted to do in London because we were going to London in September at the time. Then we have the meals overview, which I almost never used. I did fill it in, but mostly days after. And then the first page for the month of August, in which I tried to do some floral designs, but never really made a lot of it. Then we have the monthly overview and a few trackers and goals, but as you can see, I wasn't as into those. I do really use the monthly overview because it's really handy for me. Then again we have a income and expenses page. This is really handy and I do use this a lot. And finally we have some video ideas and my YouTube tracker. This is really handy for me because I think it's a lot easier to manage what I'm doing for my YouTube channel if I have an overview like this. Next we have again a social media planning and a weekly to-do list. I stopped using the social media planning once I started using the app but I did really enjoy this spread. Then we also have a page with things I wanted to buy, things I needed to buy. I bought everything I needed to buy but nothing of the want list, and then we are at September. During the month of September I also did this monthly overview which I really like using. I also did some goals which I tried to complete, but yeah, I don't really have as many goals as I would like to. The next pages are again for my social media. I used one page for all of my YouTube things here and one entire page for Facebook and Instagram, but I ended up not using it as much. I did plan on using it, but I really didn't. Then we have my expenses and income page, which I again really enjoy, but I have to blank out because of personal reasons. Then we have my YouTube ideas for Halloween videos because I start planning really early, and then we get of course to October. This is the first pages of October which I decorated with some good drawings and some ugly drawings. During the month of October I didn't have as much planned except making a lot of YouTube videos, so this is my monthly overview and some of my goals. I wanted to do a lot of things and I completed most of them. I also have again my YouTube overview with the videos I wanted to make and the videos I made, and again the planning of everything that I did. Then my financial page, which I do really use, and finally I did some October drawing challenge and I wrote down some video ideas, but this is really random random. And the drawing challenge I wanted to continue into November. My first page of November really turned out great. I put a lot of effort into it for the first time. I wanted to make it something pretty, and I think personally that I succeeded at it. I had a lot of fun creating this page. Then we go to the overview of November, and you can see I put a lot more effort into making this look pretty. I also started using a habit tracker for the first time, so you can see the day that I'm filming this was November 27th, and yeah, I really enjoyed the way this looked. Then for the next page we have again my YouTube spread with what I am filming, what I'm working on, and some creative ideas. Then again my income and expenses page, which I tried using new banners on, and then finally the weekly spreads, daily spreads with some really ugly drawings. And this was something that I'm not gonna do again. Finally, we have my Etsy spread. So this is what I wanted to do for my Etsy. I wanted to improve some things. And now let's have a look at what I use to do my bullet journaling. So this is a quick overview of most things that I use for bullet journaling. I can use all of these, but I usually don't. This is my watercolor palette that I most of the time use. It is by Van Gogh, and those are two like water fillable water paint brushes. They are really practical. I of course also have some watercolor pencils that I really enjoy working with, and because watercolor doesn't always take as well onto the paper, I also have some actual aquarelle painting paper, which is in tiny sheets that I can just draw on, and then I cut them out and I glue them into my bullet journal. The next thing here is a water pot, so yeah, I put water in it to paint. I also have this sticky thing, it's a glue stick marker, I'm not sure what it's called, but it's a lot less messy than using a regular glue stick. I also have different types of inks that I like to use, black ink and then silver ink. I like to use this for detailing. I of course also use a lighter to burn off the edges of some of the pieces of paper that I use. I really like the effect that this creates for some of my banners, as I did in my financial one of the previous month. Then I forgot to show you something that is aquarelle inspired, or that helps with aquarelle, is actually masking fluid, and I do use this quite a lot just to work on things and to mask some of the areas, as you will see later on. Then we have these twin marker things, but they do bleed through quite a bit, but they are just gray, black and another type of gray markers, and I do really like these. Then of course I have to have some rulers because my journal isn't dotted, so I have to measure out everything myself. Here are a few pens that I like to use, pens and markers especially. I also like to use a pencil to draw everything out first. The Stabilo marker is a 0.3mm one, and the other one is just a regular pen that I use for writing. It is called Optifine, I think, or Optiflow. It's just a black pen. The white gel pen that I have is from a craft store, so I'm not sure of the brand because it has no brand. Of course, when you're using pencil, you're gonna need a sharpener and a eraser. And then finally, the thing that I spent €2 on are some fine liners in different colors, and this is one of my favorite things to use for bullet journaling. And nowadays the first thing I do is decide what is gonna come where in my bullet journal, so I plan out the pages that I'm gonna be using here. And my main page, so my front page, is gonna take a while for you to see how I created it. I usually use something round to just create a round shape, and then I am just drawing out the letters December. I have rewritten the D a few times before I was happy with it, or more or less happy with how it looked. And I am actually using aquarelle paints to finish off this page. I really enjoy painting with aquarelle paints. It's one of my favorite mediums. So you can see me here mixing up some blues to create like a icy blue, which I ended up really enjoying. I am painting over the pencil, which means that I wasn't able to erase the pencil anymore. This is something that I should have known because I actually do know this, but I forgot for some reason to erase my lines when I started, so you will see this during the entire
entire time, that the lines in the ball that forms December are not gonna be gone. I decided to draw a lot of snowflakes on this page. I also decided to draw some like winter inspired floral ornaments, which I ended up not liking so much, so I ended up changing it in the end. But yeah, this is just how I create my front cover page. Then I decided to fill in my letters with some black ink. You can also do this with a pen, and because I made a few minor mistakes using my ink, I used a white gel pen to correct my lettering. Then to add in a snowflake snowstorm thing I wanted to create, I used some of my metallic and my blue ink, and I actually just went over what I already did, and to make it look more random I'm actually using my fingers to blend those things out. Next we're gonna go to my monthly overview, and we're gonna create the calendar that I use on one page and the tracker and my goals on the other page. And I'm gonna speed this up so you guys can just sit through this and watch me struggle. And I do use one of my mini calendars that I create to glue into my bullet journal. The next thing I wanted to show is how I do my tracker. This is very basic and very simple, but I do really enjoy using it. I just write all of the dates of the month and then what I want to track, and next to the tracker I leave myself some space for my goals. And because in the previous months I find it really hard to sometimes match the right dot to the right date, I decided to create a grid over here, which was a bit more time consuming than I thought it would be, but I think it is worth it in the end. And then I'm adding the things that I want to track. Next I wanted to show you how I create my banners. So I use masking fluid to actually paint onto the page. Masking fluid doesn't hold paint, so you will be able to rip it off afterwards and to just keep the paint on the page with blank lettering. I did this for my YouTube banners, and I also decided to create one for the month of December. Then I will cut them out of the paper and just match them to where I want them. As you can see here, it creates a really nice effect, and if you make any mistakes you can correct it with a gel pen or with some more paint. And I actually really like the look that this gives to my pages, and I use my sticky tape roller thing to glue them into my bullet journal. Next I am setting up my goals, and this is actually really basic for me because the only thing I track every month is my weight update, so I try to keep on losing weight. And because the pen actually goes through the paper, this works really well with the banners that I create for my YouTube. Now for my YouTube overview I actually leave room for the dates that I want my video to air upon, the ID, and then the follow-up, so filming, editing, creating a thumbnail, etc. And this has really made my YouTube life easier. I also like to glue the play button on the other page with a monthly overview and indicates the days that I'm gonna upload a video. The next two pages are my income and expenses. I actually create 3 boxes. The first box for the income, the second box for the fixed costs that I will have, so the bills that I have to pay during that month, and then finally an entire page for all of my other expenses. This is going to the shops, getting gas for my car, etc. I will just write everything in here so I can have a nice and clear overview of how much I spent during that month. And this time I actually decided to just write the titles with some aquarelle paint in the nicest gray color that I have. And usually I try to create tiny banners, but this time I did it this way. And finally, I'm trying out another weekly spread. I try to have 1 week on one page, so here I'm dividing a page into 7. The first week was only 3 days, so I divided that page into 3s, but I don't really use this. So if you have any suggestions for weekly spreads, please let me know, and then I'm just detailing and finishing up my overview.
So I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know if you already have a bullet journal. What are the spreads that you're currently using? Which ones do you really enjoy or do you find really useful? If you're not bullet journaling yet and you are considering to do so, but you still have questions, feel free to ask me. I want to reply to as many as possible. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you soon. Bye!